Okay, in this question, we read it together. To qualify for a job, candidates must score in the top 10%. So we have the top 10% on a general ability test. The test has a mean of 200, so the mean is 200 here, with a standard deviation of 20. So a standard deviation is 20. And we also know that the scores are very nice, normally distributed. Find the lowest score, so we need the lowest score that you need to get to qualify to get the job. So what is the lowest you should get so that you are in the top 10%? You need to be in the top 10% of people that take this test. So let me draw the graph so you understand it better. So if you have, this here is the normal distribution that we have for X, and the mean they gave you, it's 200. This is mu, and the standard deviation sigma is 20, and they want you to find the data value X, the X that is here, let's call it X0, so that this is the lowest X0 you can get so that you are in the top 10%. So you want the area here, area to the right, to be 10%, which is 0.1, of course. But in order to solve such a question, because it's not the standard normal distribution, we need to use the z-score to get it to be a standard normal distribution, where the mean is 0. So look at what we will do. It's exactly what we always do. So we change everything. So this x0, we're going to change it to z0. So we first find its z-score, z0. And remember, z0 or the z-score is the data value minus the mean over the standard deviation. And this implies that if you want your data value x0, you multiply z0 by sigma and add the mean mu. So keep these formulas in mind. You always use them when you solve such questions. So you, again, want to solve the same thing, but you want to find where this here, you know, this is the probability that z is bigger than z0. It's the area to the right. And we want it to be 0.1 or 10%. So now let us find z0 first, and then after we find z0, we can find x0. So what we have, let me just write everything. So here mu is given to be 200. The mean is 200. The standard deviation is 20. And the area, we're given area to the right of the z-score, or the value, the data value, is 10%, which is 0.1. And so, therefore, we are given that the probability that z is bigger than z0 is 0.1, and we need to find z0. But you remember, always what we do is we change probability of z bigger than z0 and make it 1 minus the probability of z less than z0, so that we can use the z table, equals 0.1. And now if you want to get the probability that z is less than z0, take things to the other side, and you will get 1 minus 0.1, which is 0.9. So now we highlight this. From this, you need to find z0. So we know that the area is 0.9, and we want to find what is the z-score that gives us an area to the left now. This is area to the left, yeah. This is from the z table. So this is the area to the left is this. So which means that we can use the table. Can use the table immediately. Z table. Okay, in the Z table now you will be looking for 0.9. So let's see where it is. Of course, it's not in the negative, it should be in the positive. And 0.9, what is the closest one to it? I see that this here is close enough, and it's between these two. It's between these two numbers, but notice that it's much closer to this number than this, so we don't use this. we only use the number that is closest to it. Unless it falls exactly in the middle between two numbers, then watch using the Z-table part 3. It will tell you how to deal with it. You average the Z-scores. But in this case, it's much closer to one Z-score than the other. So we take the one that it's closer to. So this comes from, let's see, this is 1.2 here and 0.08. So this means that my Z-score is 1.28. Very nice. So let's go back and say that we found the Z-score. So this implies that my Z-score, Z0, is 1.28. But this doesn't solve the question, because the question is to find the X0. If you look again at the first graph that I drew, the one that I drew here, so you need to find the lowest X0 or the smallest X0 that lies where you have 10% of the area above it. So what we did is we found the corresponding Z-score to this X0. And now we only need to use the formula that we have here for getting X0 from Z0, the one now that I have in blue. And so this implies immediately that my X0, my data value, is sigma times this Z-score plus the mean. And sigma, what was it? It was 20. 20 times the Z-score, I just found it. It's 1.28 plus the mean is 200. And if you use your calculator to find this, you'll get exactly 225.6. And this would be your data value X0 that you should put here. So this value is 225.6. Notice that it's above the mean 200 by 25.6 marks. So it exceeds one standard deviation above the mean. This is why it is 1.28 standard deviations above the mean. And the percentage of data above it, the stuff here above this X0, is 10% of the grade. So because you want to be in the top 10%, your grade should be at least, the least grade you should get is 225.6, so that you are the lowest grade in the top 10%. I hope that you understood this question now, and I will stop here.